What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Goodbye, May. Hello, June. We've got ourselves a pretty strong month upcoming. As you guys know, last year we had Conquest come out via an announcement, and now we have IGN Live next week. I believe that's going to also be an announcement, hopefully for a new game mode. And I thought, let's go ahead and recap, now that the month is over, all of May. Talk about the top 5 most played decks amongst all the players, the top 5 most winning and best in cube rate. This is a month where these cards behind me all came out, and arguably one of the strongest new card months that we've had in a while. All of these are pretty hyper competitive and strong within Marvel Snap. So whether you're like a casual and you just want to know what to pick up and play in June, if a new game mode does come, or if you want to pick the game up, or if you are hyper competitive, this is what did pretty well this month. Let's jump in. All right, now kicking off this list, we have 30,000 people playing this list called Clog Lock. And the reason this list does so well is, well, because you've got other decks we're going to cover high up in the meta that need to utilize these spots. It's got a lot of great cards like Professor X into the Cannonball combo. Ravonna Renslayer makes things ridiculous. Right there, if I didn't want to talk and have this guy retreat, I would just play 2 Professor X's. But Clog Lock has been good for a couple of months now, and we're seeing that by the player numbers. 30,000 people playing the deck this season. 57.3% win rate, which is obviously not too shabby. In general, really solid list. You're combining strong cards like White Widow alongside really just Pro X doing a lot of the heavy lifting and where the meta's at. So if you haven't played this deck, definitely one of the better contending ones. Looking down just now, I actually didn't. I didn't win that lane. That's actually pretty bad. But don't worry, we can just use 5 cannonballs to win the right lane. So again, not like my favorite deck to play, but definitely if this is your play style and something that you enjoy, it's really strong at the moment with the cards that we have, and you're going to probably see things like it when we go to the other metrics in May. Let's jump to number 4, and that is Toxic Surfer, guys. Now, this deck has been around for a couple of months now. It's arguably kind of worse statistically wise than the last one. It's got only a 50.5% win rate amongst all the gamers, and that's 40,000 of them, 10,000 more than our last deck. Pretty easy deck to play too. I mean, this thing absolutely slaps. Your main goal is you just want your opponent to play cards. You're hoping they don't have Luke Cage. You're hoping they do things like snapping. We're on turn 5. We could play Sarah. We could play Magic to extend the game. Luke Cage, you kind of name it, but we're going to just do this barraging of Hazmat. He might be snapping because he has a Cosmo, but either way, the deck performs at an extremely high and functional level. We're losing Wong here, not a big deal. It's kind of just an easy deck to play, which is why I think it gravitates a lot of players. Surfer has always been a fun deck, and the win rate is definitely not too shabby, right? 50% even with 40,000 games played. You can boost your lanes with something like Ironheart, or you can just push negative like we did just then. And look at all the different things we could do. We could do Absorbing Man if we wanted to. We could play a number of different cards. He did move our cards around, so it makes it a little bit more difficult, but either way, we're still looking pretty good here with the Surfer. We have Echo coming down. Miss Marvel won't matter. We're going to get ourselves the dub. So another archetype, if you haven't played this style of deck before and you're just kind of looking for something like refreshing and fun, it's not really ever going to go away. If they don't have Luke Cage, you're going to win, and most of the time your draws are going to be in favor of extending the game and then using one of the 2 combos. Typically, there's always one strong combo deck, and this is one of the better ones, but not the best. All right, now coming in at a couple spots higher, not only is it 8% almost better in win percentage, but about 4,000 more plays in total statistics. We've got Ramp, which makes sense. The Season Pass card in Blink really helped the archetype out. Gone are the days of hoping for just Wave or Electro. You can now use Jubilee and Blink, and there's just so many different flexible options depending on what people like to play. The deck speaks for itself. It does well. Sandman is awesome at countering even something like we're playing right now in this bounce deck. And overall, pretty straightforward to play. You don't really need to be playing a lot of Marvel Snap to be good at Ramp. I think it's always been kind of a straightforward archetype, if you will, as I just helped that guy out quite a bit. Overall, it makes sense why people play this deck, but it's funny because even though this is number 3, it doesn't even it pales in comparison to our next couple of decks here. So this one, again, is at 43,000 people are playing it, 58% win rate, and I can commentate, which is very hard to do, by the way. I can commentate and play at the same time and stomp decks that just rely on flooding locations, even with the new cards here. All right, number 2, we're almost at 50,000 plays of the deck, and there's much more than that. That's just the most top played of the decks with 53% win rate. Yeah, you either love it, you probably hate it. It's the only villain really left in Snap, or at least one of the main ones here in Hela, and that is because of Blink and what she has brought to the game. Look at me top decking her on turn 6. This is what you feel like every Hela player gets to do this. In short, guys, Hela is in a very tough position because she is just brain rot easy to play. Really strong now. Used to be a gimmicky deck. It's been strong for a few seasons. There's been a lot of talks on how to adjust Hela and make her kind of more fair and less easy. As more great cards come out, she's always going to benefit. I think the thing that hurts the deck the most, we're going to look at the top cube rate winners, and this specific deck is not in there because look at this guy knows. This guy knows. He's played enough games of Snap to get out of here. We would have rezzed up here. Let's throw it up. We would have rezzed up 1, 2, 3, 4 cards totaling over 40 power to obviously win this game. So Hela, very popular deck. If you haven't played it or if it's been a while, just go give it a try. You can literally do anything while you're playing the deck. It's that easy. And then the number 1 most played deck this season with over double 70,000 plays, still at a 53.2% win rate. It's the same every season. It's Destroy. People can't get enough of this damn archetype. All the cool cards are in it. You got the Venom, you got the Carnage. Deadpool, when that movie comes out, I don't even want to know what this is going to skyrocket it to. When we get the inevitable like Wolverine buff around that time. Overall, people are just comfortable with Destroy at this point. They know how to play it. They know what it does. Coincidentally, your opponents know too, but that doesn't stop the win rate from doing what it does best, because you could have Death, you could have Null, you could have Arnim Zola. They don't really know. A lot of Destroy decks out there, but this is by far the most played. And in terms of win rate and games played, not bad either. I don't think you guys are shocked, because if you've seen my other videos of this nature, it's always Destroy, although I don't feel like I've played as much this season. Still a very good and just ridiculous performing deck. So those are the most played decks this month. What about win rate? What decks are doing really well? Listen, I could add up all the statistics. It was a lot, so I just looked at kind of a good sample size, well above 1,000 games played in terms of the win rate, and we start at number 5. Kicking off the list at number 5, we do have that Clog Lockdown deck. You guys saw the win percentage when I covered it in games played, and yep, it wins a lot. It's kind of the perfect time to be playing the deck. To reiterate, Cannonball, Professor X, ridiculous combo. But at number 4, just slightly above it percentage-wise, still in the same 57%, 3 ticks higher. You've got Spectrum ongoing that had a little bit of a nerf to Spectrum, but a buff to Captain America, and it's kind of cemented this place in the meta. U.S. Agent, crazy, solid, insane stat swinging card, especially when you guys are seeing that ramp is being played at insane levels. You've got Cosmo to stop Hela. You have this to stop the Toxic deck. You have so many different cards that you can play to put up a good defense against strong decks, but also this deck wins a lane and you're done. Yeah, you're pretty much always going to do well if you play your ongoing lane against their best lane. A lot of defense and offense in one deck, and the stats show for it. Number 3, we've got the return of small movers. We've got Red Hulk as the big boy, a couple tech cards thrown in there, and then, of course, the Hope Summers, Elsa, and Kitty Pryde package, and that's because Nocturne came out this month. Very just slept-on card that people kind of wrote off. It's a 3/5 that can move, and most of the time doesn't hurt you all that bad. Boost up Kraven, boost up Angela, get more energy with Hope Summers, have obviously Elsa boost up cards, and then in turn also use that bonus energy to play defense with something like Shang-Chi. Very solid stats number-wise. In fact, this is the highest winning. It's got a 60% win rate, but much fewer games, so I have it down here at number 3. But if you know how to play this style of deck, which isn't the easiest, but certainly not the hardest, this is one I would consider for June, as it's still going to maintain great consistency. All right, now number 2, we have just, again, barely small margins here, but Namora. And I think at release I called this, I'm going to Namora deck, right? Like, you're putting out the signals that you're probably going to be playing some type of a Namora deck, but you have ways to have movers to make single lanes. You have obviously the Wong to have the big pop-off, and then you utilize White Tiger, Dr. Doom with Odin. Namora, and I stated this, I don't know why she was so slept on, but we are seeing the statistics. She's involved in so many great decks in Snap, and one of the few that you could play a card like Wong and just not care because you have other options. It's like Tribunal in a way. If they don't have a counter to you, you're probably going to win. Very great win percentage and overall a fun and just different, unique deck to the game. And that takes us to number 1. And again, it is Ramp. Obviously, Blink Ramp. And you notice we do see Leech in there. He's still involved. He still actually does pretty well. In fact, when Blink came out, I was playing with a 5-cost Leech because that was before they nerfed and buffed and nerfed him. But guys, this deck's got the counters to it. Strong cards behind it. Obviously, you're seeing Quake in there right now because of some hot location madness. So that is flexible. But with buffs to cards like Claw, you have Red Hulk for insane power, Magneto for obviously the movement, and then Red Guardian, probably one of the best tech and 3-cost cards in the game. Right now, this is one of your strongest performing decks, and it's obvious why. If you don't want to even listen to this one because of some location statistics, we also have this deck, which you just saw me kind of showcase and play it. Win percentage is off the charts. What are we at? Almost a 60% chance to win if you're playing this bad boy right now and you know what you're doing a little bit. Blink's one of the best cards that we've had in a long time. The entire month was fantastic, as I've already said, but Ramp is at our number 1 spot at the moment. And then lastly, let's go wrap this section up with the cube rate, right? What decks are going to win you the most cubes? Oftentimes, this is like, what are you having that's most surprising to your opponent? At number 5, we have a Mockingbird Surfer deck. Overall, just strong synergy here. You guys know the drill with Surfer. Good combo synergy. And can kind of just put up with a lot of what the meta is throwing at it at the moment. Blink Ramp at number 4 in terms of cube rate. And that's also, kind of due to how often it's played. The win rate's great, but people see it all the time. And so they're probably going to time and get out of the game if you're about to win. Hela Tribunal, surprisingly enough, is at number 3. And I don't know why. You would think this doesn't have a great cube rate. You would think people are getting the hell out of here. The other Hela decks aren't exactly up to par with this one in terms of cube rate. Maybe people see Tribunal getting discarded and they just are not fearful of it. But it's indicative here at a 0.46 cube rate win. Number 2, we have Namora Scar, and this is a deck kind of hot and on the rise. If you guys do have these cards, put it together. It's filthy. We talked about this when Namora came out on my channel. I thought her and Scar synergy was amongst my favorite. So many 5 power cards in the game that you can get to 10, get Scar for free. Not to mention they're just great cards to play on curve. And then lastly, Little Movers being the highest cube rate deck, and that's because of flexibility. You can build up cards power, move them around, have tech options in there as well. If some of the best cards included in the deck, and naturally just a lot of ways to surprise your opponent and win the game. Now, guys, take all this kind of with a grain of salt. Most decks can perform pretty well, and there's marginal difference between the stats. I thought it would be interesting, though, to kind of look at all these statistics and see within the month of May what performed great. If you notice, there's a lot of cards from Spotlight Caches, so if that's not you, if you haven't gotten a lot of new cards, just good old classic Hela, even without Black Knight, is going to be an easy deck to win. You don't need anything crazy. It's stupid good performing. You just need to know when to get the hell out, no pun, or if you should stay in for the cube gain. Other than that, we saw it 69K, almost 70K people are playing a form of Destroy. Listen, you guys, if you played Marvel Snap, you're going to have all the cards you need for this. If you don't have Noel by now, I don't know. He's been around forever. Very easy deck to pilot, and another one that needs no new cards. So all in all, guys, I would say there's some new players here. Obviously, there was a lot left out. I think there's plenty of good Patriot decks and any of the discard. There's a lot of good things that weren't in this report. I just looked at the top 5 and kind of condensed it to that. Actually, if you look at the meta across a whole, there's nothing really just reigning ultra supreme outside of the 2 weeks of hell of Leech. Now, as you guys know, with new game modes comes new strategy. Conquest is played a lot different than Ladder, and my hope is, whatever this is, this can be a great new way to play Snap and revitalize maybe some cards that aren't played all that much. We're going to have a lot of OTAs coming next month, so hit me up. What do you think are the cards that need the most love? Who would be your highest candidate, if you will? Comment down below. I'll pick one of you guys to win the season pass for your efforts of the keyboard. But anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed yourself this season. We got a new season kicking off Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Monday, we're going to be covering all the cards in the Snapchat, so go and look out for that. And until the next one, guys, happy snapping.